Views on YouTube. Hey. Huh? 250 now? Heck yeah, right? I'm on my way to that big 1K, the 1,000. That's right, fuck those people. They're gone. It's just us right now. It's just us. 250 subscribers on YouTube.
You should just say that you have 250 big ones.
250 big ones?
That way people think it's 250,000.
Is that what big one means? Does big one mean 1,000?
Usually.
Oh, okay, gosh. Is this a Midwest thing? Okay, because I've heard that phrase before, and I just assumed, well, either it's a different context, or I assumed that it was just meant dollars, you know? 1,000 big ones. I don't know. But 1,000 big ones would be 1 million by you guys. Okay.
I'd say 100 big ones.
100 big ones? But that's $110 bills to get to 1,000. Oh wait, wait.
I might use it as close to $1.
What?
I might say 100 big ones instead of $100.
Okay, gotcha. All y'all's frozen north math is confusing me right now. Well, you know, we don't need to stick around.
I want to hear the story of the fight.
Okay, hell yeah. I'll tell you guys the story of the fight. Hey, viewers on YouTube, understand these are two of my friends. Listen to the story. You can tune out now if you want to, but we're just going to tell the story of the fight. All 24 of you, you're gonna catch the story. All right, so do you guys know Gio? I'm not talking about Giovanni Vidania, the door guy at Shakespeare's. I'm talking about different Gio. Do you know this other Gio? But you've seen him around, right? He looks like a Mexican scene kid. So he's got the Justin Bieber sweep over his forehead, right? His pupils are always dilated. You can't see the color of his eyes because his pupils are so wide. Definitely on meth or some fucking shit. Okay, yeah. So he came in and some people had missed their spots, like around number 16 or so, right? And there was one person who just signed their name with a J and a heart, right? And he said, "Oh, hey, who's that?" And I'm like, "It's someone who missed their spot." And he said, "No, that's me. I put my name right there, like that, you know?" And I said, "No, I know your name, Giovanni. That's not your name, and you've never signed your name that way." And then he got butthurt about it because I knew that he was trying to scheme to get on the mic because he was just trying to convince me of something that was not real. I'm like, "Sorry, dude, you already gave yourself away by saying, 'Who's that?' You know, you knew it wasn't you." And so I said, "Look, I'll put your name on the bottom of the list. You know, it's all right. You be patient. You do your time." And he started getting all animated, started yakking in my ear, but for like 2.5 straight minutes. He was just trying to convince me that that was his name. That's how he signed his name. And I'm like, "No, I'm sorry. Like, we'll put you on later." And I feel a little bit self-conscious saying this in front of a couple of comedy hosts. Yeah, right. It's payback. And I know all of them because like you're pissed off sometimes. And then you're like with that thing with Xavier, like I didn't have a problem with hosts for months. And then I had to, no, seriously. And then you're like, "Oh, every host in town seems to have," it's like, no, I was actually surprised at how few problems I was having with hosts the last few months. Yeah, I appreciate you. You know, and I'm trying to tell you, it's like, I might learn slow on some things, but I learn and then I turn over a new leaf, you know? And you haven't had any issues with me.
Not at all.
Yeah, right? But then, you know, and this, huh?
Not since the incident.
Oh, certainly not since Xavier, and for months prior to that, I had no issues. So, right, this is good. This is a fucking AA meeting right now. I'm telling you guys about how long it's been since I've relapsed into my whining gambit
Oh, that's my favorite one.
But the thing is also is like I have an idea of how to use it, but I can't picture it in my head like what it is that I do.
Oh.
It's invisible to me, right?
Oh yeah.
Because it's probably this like reaction thing, right?
It's kind of like if a dog did something bad and you go, hey, did you do that? And they're like,
no. A little bit, there's a few squeals. Oh. All right, I get it. Well, this is good karma because I'm burying myself in front of you guys, unraveling it. There we go. Thank you. But this ties into something else, right? Because I had the Kill Tony episode come out, a little more than a week ago.
which I thought you did great, by the way.
Thank you so much, Mike. I really appreciate that. And so I went on Reddit because I was like, oh, I can comment on some shit. So I made a new Reddit account for myself as a comedian because I hadn't touched my old one for 8 years because who has time to go on Reddit? Because wait, do you guys go on Reddit?
I do, actually every morning.
Okay, who goes on Reddit anymore? Yeah, what kind of fucking pieces of shit go on Reddit? All right, that was too much.
He's a rum, Derek.
I thought you just have a sense of humor about it when I thought obviously being sarcastic. You could tell I was being sarcastic. Yeah, you look like a peep right now with the shirt that you're wearing.
Oh, me?
Yeah, it's Easter colors, you know.
I've gotten more Easter and fat comments from this shirt than any other.
Oh.
Must be working.
Don't you you're trying to play a game of Chubby Bunny?
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, because since that came out, then I was like, oh, I'll go on Reddit to like talk to the people who had things to say about me. It was like cool, and I commented thank you, and it was like, or like made a little. Somebody said it's like, oh Jeff, it was Seth Rogen. I like Seth Rogen better when he was fat. And then the one was like, this guy looks like a skinny Seth Rogen. And then the next guy said, minus 60 pounds. And I said, meth Rogen. Fucking God. Right, but then I also found some other comedians, some avid Redditors, not you, but some avid Redditors in the Austin comedy scene who were just talking warrantless shit about me.
That's comments for you, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I was surprised because the one who was particularly nasty towards me, he was someone who I thought was my friend.
Oh no.
You know, because the first comment was, oh, basically the whole scene hates this guy, lol. And then people were like, why? And then he did talk about some things which are based in truth. He's like, oh, pestering hosts and stuff. And I didn't understand. There was a lot I didn't understand at first. And I go to the Velveeta room and I was like, oh, but it looks like you guys have a cap of 25, right? And you only have 22 there. So do you mind if I go up on the end? I just want to try some new jokes, something like that. And they'd be like, no. And then, but they, but it was basically no because I want to, not no because we don't have time, right?
Sure.
And that's the kind of shit that really pisses me off. That somebody's it's selfish, right? Because even though I didn't understand the kind of hierarchy that I needed to respect, I was like, what the fuck is what's going? Because you see this, mic and all the other mics that I don't have any cap on it. But of course, it's not but maybe it's a little bit autistic of me to think well, the way that I think it should be done is the way that
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, well, why not? So there were some stories that got passed around, and of course, this person's part of the old Austin comedy scene. So they were talking shit about me, and everything they had was, and then someone's like, oh, he sold $5 beers in the alley, and I was like, of course, I lowered my prices to $3. It was actually $5 kind of feels like gouging, It's I want it to be a reasonable price, but also be convenient, and then I get my bag at the end of the night, Yeah, so they were talking shit. I've only been able to figure out who one of those people were, because his Reddit name and his Instagram name are exactly the same. So he really gave himself away there. But back to the fight, right? So Gio was pestering me, as I have pestered many of them. I apologize once again. You know. And then he was like, and then he took that pen out of my hand. He's like, I'm gonna show you like how I can sign my name like that. And then he started like right on the other page of my book, which is like for lazy days on Tuesday. Oh, it's for Madrone on Sunday. Like, and so I took the pen out of his hand. He's like, oh, that's a bitch ass move, you know? Like you're just showing how insecure you are. Like that's, you know, that's fucking me. I was about to show you it was me. And I'm like, no, look, you're just gonna go on the end of the mic. And then he kept on talking for another minute, but then he left. You know, after I ignored him and just said like no over my shoulder a couple of times. Then he was bothering this nice lady back there who's not there anymore, but Danielle. And I walked over there. I was like, is this man harassing you? He obviously was. And she was too nice. She's like, no, not at all. And I'm like, all right, well, you know. And I had already told Gio when I was there. It's like I'm gonna ask them to throw you out of this place. You know, this is way too much. You know. And so then I went up to the front and I got Chris. And I said, hey, I need a guy. You know, I need you to show a guy out. You know. And then we were walking up towards here, but he had apparently already caught the ethereal, meth head, subconscious, collective, unconscious wind of what was going on. And so he was walking back there, and I pointed at him as Chris and I were coming up. He was like, oh yeah, that's the guy. And then Gio, you know, and then Gio, like we were walking past, and then Chris started talking to him, and then Gio was like, no, and then he like put his hand on my chest to like keep me from going back towards the mic. And then Chris was like, hey, no, don't put your hands on it. And then Gio put his hand on him, and then Chris put his hand on him, and then they rolled around on the concrete for a couple of minutes. It's just like immediately became a fight. But then Chris seemed to know what he was doing, and Chris had told me like in weeks past, like if you ever have a heckler or anything, like tell me to take care of it. I was like, okay, that's great. But then after the fight, like he was all like, he was still amped up on adrenaline. He was like, dude, I told you, like whenever you have a heckler, you fucking tell me. And I'm like, oh Jesus, Chris just wanted to go fight. It's like, but I made them happy here, you know. It's
that's
like,
the way to do it. When I was a bouncer, that was the thing.
Yeah.
Please, I hope you can fight tonight. I'm
Yeah.
so bored. I just want to hurt someone.
Hell yeah. So dude, you never talked about that part of being a bouncer. You talk about like how boring and shit. Don't hit the staff, you know. He said like that.
I haven't seen blood in months.
Right, yeah, you just wanted to get someone's triangle wet, you know? Yeah. Gotcha. So anyways, they rolled her, but then while Chris and Gio were fighting, you know, Chris was on top of him like straddling him like this and on the ground and all that stuff. Then like so Gio was on his back, right? Like so Gio was on his back like this most of the time, right? And then Bree at the bar, she came around with the stun gun. Oh, this is an audience member just looked through the door and saw me like this. She's like, I'm not gonna fucking deal with. Anyways, things that you should not mention, but just think in your head. All right, so, and then Bree came out from behind the bar with the stun gun. Appreciate it, Michael. And so then she starts stunning Giovanni with it, but then they're so entangled that she also gets Chris a couple times by accident with the stun gun. And then she's like, oh, where the fuck can I stun him? And so like they're like this, and Chris is on top of him. So she puts the stun gun on his asshole, right on his gooch. And you know, I have to give credit either to Giovanni or the drugs that he's been doing. That that he took 5 tasers and he was still fine. He was still fighting. He was still going for it. And you guys know which Giovanni I'm talking about, right? With the big old saucer
I saw
eyes.
him tonight when I first came in. The fucking Chris or whoever was fucking.
Oh, that was the one. So you saw it when you came in.
I saw the very end of it.
Yeah, gotcha. He was like, stop it, you know, like.
I'm gonna let you go, and if you do anything, I'm gonna kick your bitch ass fucking.
Yeah, gotcha. So he, anyways, so that guy got a stun gun on his asshole, which was maybe some of the wildest live shit I've ever seen. World star, you know. Yeah, right. Oh, I was like pretending I was holding a phone, but then for some reason my hand was a fist. I don't know. All right, so that's been my butthole story for the night. Thank you guys for sticking around. Thank you so much for being like supportive of me and knowing that I can change. And you guys know it. You fucking know it. What? Yeah.
Like fucking subscribe.
You're saying sure. I'm not sure if that's a sarcastic.
No, I think that.
Hell yeah.
It's like anything, you know?
That's right. You gotta learn from shit.
Like and goddamn
Anyways,
subscribe.
Narbar, make it super fucking loud back here. Give it up for yourselves for being here. All right, this has been the open mic. Y'all have a good night.
Yeah.